Speaking of movies, we thought it would be fun on this Friday of Thanksgiving weekend to talk to someone about the films that are out, the way you take in movies now, what movies are good, what movies aren't. He's a culture blaster on YouTube and on Twitter, and he's our pal, Michael Snyder. Hi, Michael Snyder.
Hey, Mark, and greetings, everyone out there in KFI land.
This is a Skype thing, which actually should work pretty well. You sound really good. So I want to ask you about the holiday movies and the new movies. You can start where you want, but I just, it's funny how we're going through such tremendous volumes of content now because we're all shut in.
That's very, very true. And we do have all these streaming services rolling stuff out and, digging into their various vaults. And that means for the holiday season, there are some originals, I think, that probably went into production last year or at the beginning of this year. And there are some classics you can watch as well. In terms of this weekend, we actually got kind of a new wrinkle in terms of Christmas films with Happiest Season, which is basically kind of a Hallmark Christmas movie style look at a relationship between two lesbians in love who go to the family of one of the women, and obviously mom and dad don't know about their daughter's proclivities, and, I guess hilarity ensues. But is it a comedy
or is it a good-natured rom-com-ish kind of thing, or is it is it a Hallmarky, Christmassy? What is it?
Yeah, I would say, if you ever said to yourself, where are the corny Hallmark Channel style movies about same-sex couples at Christmas? Well, here's your answer. Happiest Season is actually, it's a cut above most of those films because you have good actors involved here. Kristen Stewart, that's right, from the Twilight franchise and a few better films, plays one of the young women, and Mackenzie Davis, who some people will recognize as the android heroine from the recent Terminator movie. They're the two women, and they're going to spend Christmas with the parents, played by Victor Garber and Mary Steenburgen. They didn't stint in terms of the cast. You get Daniel Levy of that very popular Emmy-winning sitcom that has Creek in its name, and Aubrey Plaza, Anna Gasteyer. It's a good cast, and obviously, you're going to have some meet-cute stuff going on and some deception and what have you. But truly, it follows the standard formula for these movies, except it's a couple of women in love. And, of course, they've got to, kind of keep the secret until everything is revealed. And it basically it generates some laughs and real emotional tension and feel good.
Wow.
Feel good moments. You can see it on Hulu if you have Hulu.
Let me, can I tell you a Kristen Stewart story?
Sure.
I'm going to tell you in the KFI audience a Kristen Stewart show. And we don't have a lot of listeners on probably the Friday of Thanksgiving weekend, but this is really one of the cool things that happens in life, I think. So many, many years ago, 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, I guess, I was doing a show called Guinness Prime Time. Okay, it was on Fox. It was a hit show. It was on for 4 seasons. And I was the host, right? So the floor director was this great guy, looked kind of like a rocker, looks like Greg Allman, okay? Looks like long hair, blonde hair, and always was dressed really funky and cool. And, floor director on a show will tell you, you'll start upstage here, and then you'll say good evening and welcome, and then you'll walk 5 steps downstage, and you'll turn, and you'll pick up that camera, and you'll say, tonight we've got a great show for you. And then you'll turn to another camera, and you'll talk about the first act, and that act will be waiting 30 feet over here. You'll walk straight across as you speak. So everything is very carefully thought out, and this guy, the floor director, has to be the guy to walk you through it. So this guy I worked with for 4 seasons, and he had a kid who was an actress, and but she was a child actress. She was like 10 years old, I think. And he was showing me pictures, and she's this cute girl, and he'd say, hey, she just got a commercial, and I go, oh, that's great. I was thinking, oh, most actresses and actors don't really achieve high heights. So I was trying to be encouraging, but I was also thinking to myself, God, I hope this kid does well. But, realistically, not everybody reaches the apex of show business, you know what I mean? And most people don't. He said, and he, again, through the seasons of the show, we were working together. He said, hey, she got a movie. I said, oh, that's awesome. He said, it's not a big part, but she's got a couple of lines. And I said, oh, that's terrific. Oh, she's really coming along. You say all those encouraging things that friends say to each other. So I think you know where this is going. She got another movie, and she got another movie. That floor director's name is Jon Stewart, and his daughter's name is Kristen Stewart. And that is the star of the movie that you were describing for Thanksgiving weekend.
Well, that is a feel-good story, my friend.
Isn't it? It's got a happy Hollywood ending, doesn't it?
It does. A happiest season. They are cranking out a few of them that you can see right now. I'm in a Christmas mood. Thanksgiving's over. I'm still digesting turkey from last night. But I'm not saying these are good films. In fact, I will probably sneer as I tell you about them. But there's
sneer at one more before the break. Go ahead.
Okay, the Christmas Chronicles 2 on Netflix with real-life married Hollywood golden couple Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn as a version of Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah, I saw them promoting that. How is that?
Well, they bring a little Brentwood and Beverly Hills to the North Pole. I mean, they're trying to save Christmas from, I don't know, too much bronzer and Botox. But in any event, it's product, buddy.
Well, wait a minute. Well, hold on. What's the general premise of the movie, though? What's the plot?
The general premise is, a villainous type is trying to undermine Christmas, and a good kid wants to enlist Santa and Mrs. Claus to help stop the madness, such as it is.
I see. Okay. Well,
it's typical.
All right. Let me take a break. When we come back, I want to get into a few more movies. I won't interrupt you again with another story, but I just thought that Kristen Stewart thing was interesting, or something. I don't know how interesting it was, but anyway, sort of. I thought it was something. Anyway, when we come back, we'll talk about more movies and also where you can see them and how people are taking in all this content these days over the holidays. He's Michael Snyder. He's the culture blaster on Twitter and on YouTube and movies and not only movies, music as well. So it's really great to have you with us. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us, Michael. KFI AM 640. It's the Conway Show. It's the Conway Show. Mark Thompson sitting in on this Thanksgiving weekend. Glad you could join us. I know things are crazy. We've been looking at this revised stay-at-home order, which is going to really clamp down on life in L.A. County. We'll talk more about that. Of course, Claudette is covering it in the news. Got the crew here. Mondo's here. Sharon's got the night off. But Claudette, as I mentioned, is in for Gina. And Angel is covering things traffic-wise. So to the extent that there are any needs, we will cover them all for you here at KFI. We're talking to Michael Snyder about movies. He was talking about this Kristen Stewart film. I'm chuckling because somebody on Twitter, it's a same-sex couple that goes home and kind of announces they're together. I'm sure it doesn't happen until Act 3 or whatever.
No. That's the whole nut of the thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Keep this a secret, right?
It's the payoff, right? So anyway, Accoutrement on Twitter said, at Mark T Live, that's my name on Twitter. At Mark T Live, you had me at Lesbians in Love. So there's that, too, I guess, that at least one of the films. And you kind of liked it.
Yeah, I did kind of like it. I wasn't so crazy about the Christmas Chronicles 2. And believe it or not, 2 more available Christmas movies dropped this weekend, one of which is the second in a series that we're going to have to endure called The Princess Switched Again, Netflix. And this features Vanessa Hudgens reprising her dual role as it's kind of a princess and the pauper thing, a commoner and a princess who are they're identical, and they switch places for romantic reasons, I guess. Only this Christmas, they have to deal with a third Vanessa Hudgens playing a nasty blonde aristocrat who dyes her hair brown in order to steal the throne of the princess who's about to be made queen of her little Euro country. Oh, my God. It is pretty slapdash. I mean, I actually had a dream after watching it that I was attacked by 3 Vanessa Hudgenses. It was awful. No, they're
she's talented. She's a talented, but maybe this wasn't the vehicle for her, is what you're saying.
Well, I believe she, hey, she's getting a paycheck, so good for her.
She's getting 3 paychecks.
Finally, I have to tell you something about the serio-comic concept-made cinema Fatman, which you can see on Fandango Now, Vudu, or Amazon Prime. This stars Mel Gibson as a gritty, tough guy named Kris Kringle. Guess who? He's in fact Santa Claus. And in this movie, he has to team up with the U.S. military when a disgruntled kid hires an assassin to kill this not-so-jolly Santa Mel because the kid received a lump of coal in his stocking. Wow. I'm not kidding. I mean, I guess this kid thinks he may see you when you're sleeping, but he may not see you when you're aiming at him with a high-powered rifle.
Oh, my God. So is this is a dark film, or what is it?
It's darkly comic, only not in a good way like Bad Santa, in a way like, why'd they make this? Had it been funnier or scarier or, more heartfelt, but I was like, wow, okay.
Man, that is wild. That's called Fatman.
Yeah, Fatman, and no reference to Kevin Smith from a few years back before he went on that diet.
So those are the holiday films. Can you say what your favorite holiday film is? I mean, is it? I'm sure you've got a list of. Yeah, okay. Give me a few that are your favorites. I guess maybe that might be.
I love Bad Santa, starring everyone's favorite disgruntled fellow. What's his name? The guy from Sling Blade, Billy Bob Thornton, as the world's worst department store Santa.
And they did Bad Santa too, also, right?
They did indeed. The first one, the original, is still the greatest, as Dobie Gray sang in the in crowd. But anyway, I do love that. And I think Elf it's one of the few movies starring Will Ferrell where I don't like, please turn this off, And Scrooged.
Elf is absolute gold, isn't it? Yeah.
It's absolutely with he's wonderful in it as oversized elf adopted by Santa's crew. Wonderful stuff. And Scrooged, which is the Charles Dickens Christmas Carol updated to somewhat modern times. It's now a few decades old, but stars Bill Murray in a modernized version of it. Love that. And, the classics, Miracle on 34th Street, the original black and white one, It's a Wonderful Life, the great Frank Capra movie. But I also love some Christmas horror comedies. Krampus, a live-action movie from 2015 about Santa's evil doppelganger invading a suburban neighborhood. I loved this film. Gremlins is kind of a Christmas movie.
Oh,
the classic.
Sure. Yeah.
And from Finland, yes, read the subtitles, people, Rare Exports, which is another. I
saw that, and it is unbelievable, man. How do you even explain the log line for that film? What is the premise?
It's almost impossible to really give anybody a clear idea of what it's about. But I guess the best way you could describe it is that it's in fact about a kid and a friend of his who believe that a nearby a drilling project has actually found the tomb of Santa Claus, but it actually turns out that it's really not at all. But this is
it's chilling. The movie's chilling, but it is. I would never watch it with kids. But it's
no, it's not for children. But it's
wild though.
So entertaining. Honestly.
What's it called again? It's called Precious Cargo or something. What is it called again? It's called
Rare Exports.
Rare Exports, that's it, yeah.
Rare Exports, and I think it's subtitled like a Christmas tale or a Christmas story or something to that effect.
Yeah. We've got to wrap up, Michael. I'm so sorry.
Don't even, man. If you get a chance and can watch Rowan Atkinson in his two most famous roles, Blackadder's Christmas Carol and Merry Christmas, Mr. Bean. They're half-hour long. comedies, and they are absolutely a joy to watch. And, you know, who doesn't love Chuck Jones, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and A Charlie Brown Christmas for the Kids, both of which
of course. Yeah, that's great. Michael, you're so generous to, on this Thanksgiving weekend, spend time with us here on KFI and the Conway Show. And if you want to follow Michael, you can. He's at Culture Blaster on Twitter and also on YouTube. Michael Snyder, thanks, Michael.
You bet.